And now I'm gonna start recording because nobody heard me get really excited about how good that. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to Move to Combat. In case you hadn't noticed, we're down a person today.
Yeah, we're -1, James.
So I'll be playing the part of the producer tonight, and we're gonna see how this goes. Hi, everybody. I'm Haley.
I'm Kenny.
And today we're gonna be talking about Throne of Eldraine Brawl. We're gonna be talking about overall the Brawl format and how it functions and what you can do with it, but then more specifically we're going to go into the pre-con Brawl decks that they released.
Yep. We're also going to be talking about what each Brawl commander is kind of pushed towards.
Yeah.
If you want to just take the commander and just build your own deck, or even just build a commander deck out of it. And then some cool cards that are both in the deck and some that could be added to the deck that are actually standard legal. So something to think about.
Yeah, we can do lots of fun stuff with this. We haven't touched on Brawl before this, just because it didn't seem like it was going to be a relevant format before this.
Had zero support.
It had zero support, and it was introduced, and it was great for Dominaria, which gave us a ton of legendaries to work with. But then it didn't seem all that great anymore, and they hosted events for this, and literally 2 people showed up.
So the issue for Brawl is that Commander exists.
Already doing great as my job as producer. Go Haley.
Commander exists, so it kind of scratches that same itch with a wider pool of cards and the ability to just have even wackier shenanigans. That was the big issue, but now Brawl gets support on Arena. So we're going to see more of that, and I think that's going to be the big push.
So I think this interaction that Paper Magic and Esports Magic are having are both incredibly beneficial and also harmful at the same time, because Arena is a completely different monster than MTGO.
Oh yeah.
Because I've seen it just in the numbers, between my local game store and then other ones in our area.
Well, Arena's way more popular.
Yeah, Arena is way more popular. There's a lot of stuff going on in it, but it's also now starting to affect attendance, which wasn't something it was doing before.
Really?
Yep. And it's incredibly interesting because this is the first set that we've seen it happen for. So I don't know what that means yet. I don't really know what it's going to do, but I think you're incredibly right about the introduction of Brawl onto Arena and making it a bigger thing.
Well, I think there's a very cathartic, Magic players feel good. There's a very good feeling to having a Paper Magic deck and playing it physically, as opposed to online.
Right.
Especially when you're really happy with the deck that you're playing. I want to play this in paper because I have fun playing it online, and I'm gonna move paper.
Yes, I agree.
So
that's why I said it's interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see what it does in the future, because like I said, this is the first set where it's really affected anything like this. So I'm interested to see how that trend either continues in the future or discontinues.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really going to depend on Wizards of the Coast and how they make it function as a game. Because I do agree, playing it Arena is incredibly useful. I can deck test all of my standard decks whenever I want from the comfort of my own bed in my pajamas.
Yep.
That's great. But
eating in bed and playing Arena.
Eating in bed and playing Arena. My Saturday night. But also, that can be helpful in a lot of ways, because players like me and you, we like playing Paper Magic. We like having the cards in our hand and the actual visceral feelings of it.
Yeah.
Whereas some people are just I'm just gonna play this in bed in my pajamas and eat on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So you had players that were coming out before that might not be now. Because we've seen it happen with other games.
Yeah. Also, the issue that I've seen on MTGO specifically is that its UI is not great.
Right.
And Arena's is better.
A lot better.
Even though it lags all the time.
I don't really have a lot of issues with lagging, but I think that's something that they're working on too, especially since now we're officially not in beta anymore.
Yeah, they're actively patching everything.
So they're actively patching everything to even though it was an open beta for the longest time, now that it's not in beta testing anymore.
It's for realsies, yeah.
It's for like realsies, and a lot more people are on it. So they're actively patching up everything, so it's not that bad. Like I said, it's just going to be interesting to see, because we have seen other games go to this online format, and the games just die because of it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Magic's going to die by any means necessary.
It's been around for, like, what?
26
years?
It's their 26? I think last year was the 25th.
Yeah, 26 years. So I don't think it's going anywhere in paper form.
No.
Especially just, I don't know. It's just tactile. Just having that tactile, to be redundant feeling.
Yeah. No, I don't think paper Magic is going anywhere.
No.
I think what might happen though is you might see like FNMs or stuff significantly decrease, and
I think they'll decrease and then increase.
It's entirely possible. Like we said, you've seen other games get destroyed because of this before.
Yep.
In Magic, that's not going to happen because this game has been around for 26 plus years for a reason. It's just gonna be interesting to see what the effects, both short term and long term, are, because I think there are going to be effects.
Yeah. Okay, let's get started on this.
All right.
That was one heck of a tangent.
It was one heck of a tangent. We're already off to a bad start.
We're already going on adventures.
This is what happens when James isn't here to police us. So we're doing great, but let's see if I can do the thing.
We did the thing.
I did the thing. We're gonna go. There we go. Aha!
I should have put a Fight Club thing there. Now I feel bad about it.
Kenny, I gave you free reign. I literally looked at Kenny this week and said, do whatever you want. You can put whatever you want on the slides.
My choice was to nap.
Just do whatever you want, and I'll deal with it, because I'm not going to do it this week.
My choice was to nap.
Yeah. So.
I did my homework, I promise, but naps were included in that.
Yeah, we had a discussion about that last night. Kenny's had a habit of not doing his homework and has to run off immediately when we're done recording as such. Okay. So, let's go. Throne of Brawl. What is Brawl?
Like Commander, but in multiplayer, instead of having 40 life, you got 30. Players in 1v1, instead of having 40 life in Commander, have 25. Decks are 60 cards, including your Commander, so 59 plus the Commander instead of 100 cards, including your Commander.
Yes.
It's only standard legal sets, so it does rotate, and you can use multiple copies of any one basic land with a colorless Commander.
One thing that we didn't note here, but that is incredibly important, you can use Planeswalkers as, they call them your Commander, but really they're your Brawler.
Yeah.
I'm going to coin the term Brawler when we're speaking to this.
I totally forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. You can use Planeswalkers in Standard as your Brawler. And that's very interesting, because then that kind of takes us into, like, if any of you are familiar with, like, the Oathbreaker format that's been floating around for the past couple years, which we'll go over in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, Oathbreaker, I think, is an entirely different animal.
Yeah, but you can use Commanders, or you can use Planeswalkers as the Oathbreaker, Brawler, Commander.
Different for another reason.
It is different for another reason, but yeah. Point being, it opens up a very interesting design space, because I think something that a lot of people complained about with Commander was the fact that you couldn't use Planeswalkers as your Commander, unless they specified otherwise, because there are some that do specify that you can use them as your Commander. And I think that's why they started doing the special ones that you could do that for. Yeah. However, it's interesting. It opens up a completely new design space, and especially in Standard, it's very good, because your pool of limited creatures that you have to choose from in Standard becomes so limited. Yeah. Especially because it is a format that rotates. I think it'll also be interesting to see what, like, design spaces that causes in the future as well, because if they're going to continue to support Brawl, which,
I mean, they will.
So far, it's been questionable. But if they're going to continue to do stuff like this and support Brawl and give us more Brawl decks and stuff, they're going to have to keep that in mind when designing sets.
I think with the inclusion of Brawl on Arena, they're kind of obligated to support it in some form or fashion.
They're not obligated to do anything, Cody.
Well, at least Arena will. I'm not sure if Wizards will specifically. But
yeah, I think I think the addition of Brawl to Arena is going to keep them more on top of their game. But we've also seen weird Arena formats pop up where they'll do like a 1 week only thing, or like they could remove Brawl just as easily. That's all I'm saying, is they could, if this does not work out, they could remove it just as easily, and they're gonna have to be very careful with their design space because of that.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to continue to bring up support for it.
Okay.
Any questions on how Brawl works? No? Okay.
Awesome. So we have 4 Brawl decks that are coming out, or that are out, I guess. Our first one is Wild Bounty, which is the Bant creature deck with Chulane, Teller of Tales. So Chulane is basically a 5-mana Risen Reef. I don't know why I'm blanking on the card name because it's so obnoxious. With better text.
Why don't you just tell him what the card does, Kenny, instead of trying to compare it to another card?
But I'm paraphrasing. I'll read the card. I promise. It's a better Risen Reef.
James is never gonna let me produce again.
It's a 2/4 with Vigilance, and then whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield. You can pay 3 and tap them to return a creature card you control to its owner's hand. It's a Risen Reef with better text. You're always guaranteed a card draw, and if the top card's a land, then it's just a Risen Reef that triggers off of every creature you play.
Yes.
I mean, so obviously Chulane kind of skews you towards Creatures Matter, which isn't hard in the Bant colors.
No, it's very incredibly easy in the Bant colors to skew a Creatures Matter deck.
You can also go Ramp with Lands Matter because you're playing extra lands for free. So stuff like Field of the Dead work really well with Chulane if you're consistently playing creatures. ETB's effect because you get to bounce your guys, and then I think Chulane is kind of the de facto adventure brawler if you wanted to go that way, because the adventure deck right now is green-white, and then the 3 really good adventure creatures in blue are all totally playable in the format.
Oh yeah, I think that is super effective. I think Landfall Shenanigans might be slightly more difficult now. Like, we do still have the Field of the Dead stuff going on, but it's not like we really have, like, we've...
Yeah, but
Scape Shift rotated.
So Bant Ramp is still a deck, though.
Bant Ramp is still a deck, and it's still something that's it's very possible, but I think, like... that the Creatures Matter... You're gonna fall heavier into the Creatures Matter thing with, like, more of a side of, like, Landfall Shenanigans. Just because, like...
Unless you're able to animate your lands into creatures and then put them back in your hand and play them again.
Unless you're able to do that.
Because Nissa's in green, and she does that.
Nissa's in green, it's really good. You could do lots of fun stuff. I think this is going to be super interesting, and it also, I think, make a very good commander as well.
This card's nuts as a commander.
With some hooligan shit like this.
Yeah, this card's nuts as a commander. Mm-hmm. If you... Like, commander gives you the space to play a 5-drop 2/4 and have room to breathe, and then you just kind of go off.
Yeah.
This guy's bazonkers.
It could be very well be bazonkers. But, alright, so let's take a look at some of the cards that come with this deck.
So, these are... I just broke it down into 3 really good cards that come in the deck that synergize well with Chulane and what Chulane wants to do. Frilled Mystic, because... Frilled Mystic is good, and bouncing it with your commander and getting able to draw a card and play a land off of it is insane.
Frilled Mystic, the standard Mystic Snake.
Thorn Mammoth is actually really cool. So it's a 7-mana 6/6 trampler, and whenever he or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Thorn Mammoth fights something.
Fights up to 1 target creature you don't control.
Yeah. So, like, it turns all of your creatures entering the battlefield into removal spells, effectively.
Oh, yeah, which is something that is super powerful in the standard format right now.
Yeah.
And especially, like, in green, because green's primary way to deal with threats is fighting them. So right now we've got a lot of good, like, fight stuff in green that can act as your removal.
Yeah, it's just like the creature comes into play, the elephant gets angry and punches something.
The elephant gets angry and it just punches you with its trunk.
And then the last one is Steelbane Hydra. So Steelbane Hydra enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it, and then you can pay 2 and a green, remove a +1/+1 counter to destroy a target artifact or enchantment, And when it's low on counters, you can then bounce it with Tulane and replay it with more counters to destroy more artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff. So basically, you're looking at like the big green stuff here that comes in it. In addition, having blue in this deck is super nice because that opens up to counter spells. And in a deck that doesn't have like a ton of removal in those colors, like white's pretty good for removal. But like when you're talking green, like I said,
green and blue are not.
Green and blue are not. So green, it's notable to hit the fighting, and then also like the Frilled Mystic. It's a 4-mana counterspell on a body.
All of these
is great.
All of these cards will draw you a card, maybe play a land, and then their removal in some form or fashion.
Yeah. So just having that is really good. Because Frilled Mystic, like I said, it's a counterspell on a body. So you've got a 3/2 for 4 mana. That's countering something that you're playing at flash speed.
That then replaces it.
That then is replacing it. So you got a lot of good stuff going on here.
Yep. And then some cards that you might think about adding to it. The Guardian Project is good in any singleton deck running green. That runs lots of creatures. Basically, it's a 4-mana enchantment that says whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card.
Which, as we've pointed out before, is incredible in singleton formats because you normally don't have creatures that have the same name because it's singleton. Yeah.
The next one, if you're able to draw 2 cards off your creatures, then you're just kind of outpacing everyone.
Yeah. Just value city right there.
Mesmerizing Benthet I thought was really interesting because bouncing it with Tulane and replaying it is hilarious because you get more illusions.
I love the illusions.
So it's a 5-mana 4/5, and when it enters the battlefield, you create 2/0/2 blue illusion creature tokens with, whenever this creature blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step.
You just make a bunch of tiny, cute little illusion
squishes.
octopi.
Yeah, and Mesmerizing Benthet has hexproof as long as you control an illusion.
So you just make a ton of illusions. Just a ton of them.
So you just bounce and replay it for a wall that no one can get through.
Yeah. Basically.
And then I thought the Great Henge is pretty good in the Tulane deck.
Okay, so the Great Henge, yes. Please explain what it does.
Okay, so it's 9 mana, 7 and 2 green for a legendary artifact, and it costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You're probably playing stuff like the Elephant and Hydroid Krasis and big stompy blue-green shit. Best
case scenario, you're paying
2
mana to cast the spell.
Yeah, it does tap for 2 green and you gain 2 life, so it's effectively free if you get it for 2. And you get 2 life out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card.
Yeah, this just adds so much value to this because it goes along with like the +1/+1 counters and drawing cards. So you're just like getting so much value out of everything you're playing. If you were to add this to the deck.
And I mean, obvious includes like Risen Reef are obvious for this type of deck. I mean, you're bouncing your creatures to get value out of it.
Yeah. This is just a deck where you want to be getting the most value out of every single thing that you're playing.
Yep. And
the deck is set up really well to do so.
Mm-hmm. It takes a long time to get running though, so you need to be aware of that. It's one of those decks where if people know what you're doing, probably in trouble if you can't get rolling before.
This is the deck that Kenny's going to bring to the table, and we're all going to go, no, you're going to die before you're allowed to do anything.
It's a silly, janky value deck, yeah.
Yes.
But it's a lot of fun, and if you want to be discarding cards because you're drawing too many cards a turn, play this.
Yeah. It's great.
Next, I think I got 3 more cards to look at.
Yeah.
So I thought
this is the Adventure Time slide.
Yeah, this is the Adventure Time slide because I think Tulane's really good with adventures. Being able to play the adventure, then the creature, bounce the creature, and get the adventure again, so you can just kind of start looping it.
Yeah, this definitely. Once again, Brawl very much like Commander, it's a singleton format. So if you've been watching us, you know my opinion on being able to get as much value out of every card as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So this is the I cast the spell, I got the creature, I bounce it back, now I got a spell again. So in a format where you only have one of everything, minus lands, this is giving you so much value for everything you're playing to be able to play these kinds of cards right now.
All of these cards are super interactive, but they're creatures. So
yes.
If you want to play them on the creature half, Chulane just draws you the card
right.
and plays the extra land if you need it. So our first one is Realmcloak Giant. It's Adventure's Castoff, which is 5 mana, 3 and 2 white sorcery. Destroy all non-giant creatures.
There's not many, let me tell you
There's not many, but when you want to play him as a creature, he's a 7 mana, 7/7 with Vigilance. So there's that.
He's just a monster.
He's a big boy.
He doesn't trample, but he'll take hits like a champ.
And then punch back.
Yes.
Our next one is Brazen Borrower, which in my opinion is the second most powerful card in Throne of Eldraine. I'm super high on this card. I don't know. I'm just super high on it.
He hasn't shut up about it.
But it's a 3 mana, 1 and 2 blue fairy rogue with flash and flying. And it can only block creatures with flying. It's a 3/1, which is really good evasive block. And then its Adventure, Petty Theft, is a blue and 1. You return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand.
I have to say here, Kenny, my first note, I feel personally offended by the fact that you didn't use the pretty artwork on the slides.
I know.
Kenny, we have a tradition here of using the most expensive version of the cards on our slide.
I didn't use the bougie art. I know, I'm sorry.
Using the bougie artwork, and it's like I don't even know you right now. You messed it up.
It was 4 a.m. when I did this, okay?
No excuse. Take a 5-hour energy.
And then our last one is Giant Killer, which I think is a way better card than I thought looking at it the first time. It's so it's a 1 mana 1/2 at for a white and a 1, and you tap it to tap target creature, which is fine. It's a 1 mana guy that'll draw you a card and put a land into play, ideally.
Yes.
That you can then bounce if you want to use its Adventure, Chop Down, which is really good in a singleton format like this. It's 2 and a white for an instant, and then it destroys target creature with power 4 or greater.
Yes.
I mean,
2 things about this card. 1, it does what you want it to do. It's the replacement for the 2-drop tap a creature guy, which exists in every Magic format in some capacity. And then, Chop Down, it's an instant that's getting rid of a big dude. That's really good. But I swear to God, if I open up another one of these cards, because I've opened up about 30 of them already, I will just tear it in half. I have a full playset of alternate story art borders for this. I have about 6 other ones. I will rip it. I'm sick of this card. I've seen it too much. It's a rare. Come on
it
now.
Is a rare. It's the most common rare.
It's the most common rare. Come on now.
Okay, but yeah, I figured all 3 of these cards are pretty solid. I think Giant Killer is pretty cheap. Brazen Borrower is not.
Brazen Borrower,
it's like $15.
It's not budget friendly, but it's not like ridiculous either.
Yeah, but it does lots of cool things. And then Realmcloak Giant, I think, is also pretty cheap-ish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're all pretty cost effective if you want to throw them into the deck.
Yes, and just to reiterate, anytime where I could get these spells back into my hand to use them multiple times in a singleton format is just amazing. Yeah. So this is kind of what the deck exists for, to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't push Tribal Adventure in the Brawl deck, because one of the main mechanics in the set.
It's very interesting what they did with the Brawl decks. But yeah, because it's one of the main mechanics in the set, you would think they would have put a little more shove into it, but
Okay, our next one.
Fairy Schemes. I am very excited about this one myself.
Alela.
I love her.
She's jacked up Vampire Nighthawk.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Kenny, you know what Vampire Nighthawk does to me.
This is Vampire Nighthawk that's been hitting the weights.
Yes. This is the Vampire Nighthawk if it were a fairy instead of a vampire, and also has been spending a lot of time at the gym. So, Alela is 4 mana. She's 1 generic and Esper colors, or blue, white, and black. She is a 2/3 fairy warlock with flying, death touch, lifelink. Other creatures with flying get +1/+0.
That you control.
Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0, and whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. Oh my god. At first, I was so pissed about this because I have a black-blue fairies deck, and I was like, why are they messing with my fairies? Why did they have to go and put white into my fairy deck? And I was very upset.
Turns out it helps out.
Turns out this is amazing, and you should be playing it because it's fucking great. I can say the F word up to 3 times. It's legal by film association rules, so we're gonna go with that.
Okay.
This is an artifact and enchantment deck.
Yeah, I think Alela leans into all the eggs we have in Standard.
Mm-hmm.
Just the artifacts that come into play and draw a card that you can then pitch for value. And then
Yes.
cards like Dance of the Mance. Get them all back.
Yep, they're dancing and they're mancing.
You get a bunch of fairies, then you start dancing.
So, yes, in Standard, this is like definitely an artifacts and enchantments thing. Your flyers matter. Flyers always matter, in my opinion. But
the deck actually comes with a Safara in it.
Yes.
So
it does. So flyers definitely matter. Fairy Tribal. That's something you can do with this. I think Fairy Tribal is more of like for the commander play of this card as opposed to the brawl. But that's a good thing to note because brawlers can be used as your commanders. And we are here to help you explore all formats.
Absolutely. And
spread your wings and fly.
Fairies are one of the main tribes that are in Throne of Eldraine, so it's something to think about if you want to kind of jam Fairy Tribal, I guess.
I was really excited, though. I thought we were going to get a lot more, like, fairies and a lot less knights.
Yeah, a lot more knights and a lot less fairies, yeah.
I mean, beggars can't be choosers, but, like, really?
And knights are super pushed.
Gonna get a couple more fairies. Like, my fairy commander deck is screaming for more, but that's okay. I'll live. But yeah, this makes me very excited. This is Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink.
Vampire Nighthawk.
Beautiful. Let's talk about the cards. Mace of the Valiant. I can speak. It is a 3-drop, 2 generic, and 1 white artifact equipment that says equipped creatures get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Mace of the Valiant and it has vigilance. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a charge counter on Mace of the Valiant, and its equipped cost is 3. So this is really good for Alela's own creature generating engine.
Yeah, that's why I put it on there.
Yeah.
I figured this is a pretty thing to just slap onto Alela and then just play more artifacts and enchantments to make Alela huge and punch him in the face with the vigilance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because every artifact or your enchantment, you're making a creature token as long as you've got your commander on the field.
Yeah.
Which is great, because then this thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger when your whole deck is built around that.
Yep.
I mean, that's just what this does. You make your commander, or your brawler. You make your brawler. Come on.
I can't. It's commander.
But it's not commander!
I know, but I can't.
It's not.
Brawler is hard for me. I don't know.
Brawler's hard for me too, but like, it doesn't feel right calling it my commander when we're not playing commander.
Yeah.
So you're making your brawler really big, and you're getting in there for that damage. You also have Safara, Skyblade in here, which is a 7-drop, 4 generic, and 3 white for a 7/7 angel. And you can pay white mana and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than paying the spell's mana cost. It's got flying and lifelink, and then other creatures you control with flying have indestructible.
So, pretty good.
So you pay 1 mana and you tap all the little
fairy
dinky,
tokens that you made.
The little dinky flyer fairies
now,
that you've been making, and now you've got a 7/7.
That makes all your other dinky flyers indestructible.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. And then we've got Golden Egg, which is just 2 generic for an artifact food. And when Golden Egg enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. If you pay 1 mana and you tap it and you sack Golden Egg, you get to add 1 mana of any color. You pay 2 mana, tap it and sack it, you gain 3 life. So it's got the food ability and its own ability. This is like what Kenny was talking about with you play the little artifacts or enchantments that get you the value of getting the extra creatures on the board, etc., etc.
And then drawing you into more cards.
Yeah, it's drawing you more cards when it comes in. And then it also gives you an effect for getting rid of it later.
And the reason I put this in there is because one of the add-ins I put in is it really likes this card.
Gee, I wonder what the add-in is. Let's take a look.
Are you surprised?
No, not at all. So, we're gonna go over my personal favorite on this list first.
The Foxo?
Flutterfox, 100%. I'm not gonna lie, I built my whole pre-release deck around this card, and I have no shame in it.
It's a good card.
Flutterfox is 2 mana. It's a generic and a white for a 2/2 fox. As long as you control an artifact or enchantment, Flutterfox is flying.
It kind of just leans into everything Alayla wants to do.
Yeah.
So I just kind of tossed it. I was like, this is free. It does everything you want it to do, so just throw it in.
It does everything she wants it to do. I mean, at its very base, it could end up being a bear. But bears aren't the worst.
But with
they're
Alayla...
2 mana 2/2s, but with Alayla, and all of the artifacts and enchantments that you're going to be playing anyways, this gets flying and makes it that much better, and it's usually a 3/2. And let me tell you from personal experience, this little dude puts in some work.
Yeah.
He can put in some work.
He's a sneaky boy because he doesn't seem as powerful outright as like cards like Alayla or the next card, Emery or Safara. They have to get rid of those, and then they're getting punched for 3 by a fox.
Yeah, like I said, I put my whole pre-release deck around this card because I have no shame, and he's a cute little fox, which is my favorite animal and one of my weaknesses. But I had like 2 or 3 of them in my deck, and like you drop them and people are like, okay, whatever, and then you're like, 2 in your face, 2 in your face, pump it, 3 in your face, 3 in your face, and they're like, oh, this is a problem. Yeah. I have to do something about that.
A 2/2 flyer for 2 is good.
Yeah. Next up we have Emery, Lurker of the Loch. She's another one of my favorite cards from the set, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and she's one of those cards that adds a lot of recursion to this type of deck.
100%. So she is 2 generic, 1 blue for a 1/2 Merfolk Wizard. This spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each artifact you control, so you're basically paying 1 blue mana for a 1/2. And then when Emery enters the battlefield, you get to put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. You tap her, you get to choose target artifact card in your graveyard, and you may cast that card this turn. So you're filling up your graveyard, and you're getting the artifact pieces and like the big stuff. You're filling up your board. You're recurring stuff.
So I think in this current standard, Alayla leans more towards artifacts and enchantments.
Yes.
Just the way the cards work out, and Emery just plays into that.
100%.
Get your stuff back.
She definitely plays into the artifact thing. She's seeing play all over the board because she's so good. Because she does. Yeah, so
she's seeing played in like Legacy and Vintage.
Yeah, she's seeing play all over the boards. That tapper ability, that's like your golden ticket. There's your win condition. There's one of your major key combo pieces. There's
get it back.
That's adding so much value. And even if you're only like in this deck, if you're only pulling like a golden egg out of your graveyard or something with her, that's still another
even just
1/1.
Being able to play a golden egg is just you're drawing a card.
Yeah, that's you're drawing another card. You're getting another flyer. You've got another artifact on the board if you've got something that like plays off of how many artifacts you have on the board, because there are creatures that do that, and it pitches itself, so you can get even more value out of it again.
Yeah, keep cracking that egg.
Emery's really good. And then we have Mirror Maid, which is a 3-drop enchantment. It's 1 generic and 2 blue. You may have Mirror Maid enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. It's just good.
Yeah, if you have effects like Doom Foretold or like it's a singleton format, so having 2 copies of one of your most powerful cards is always, good.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm doing James's producer thing that he'd normally be doing, but now I have to do
Double Mace of the Valiant.
Yeah, Double Mace of the Valiant. Just anything.
Yeah.
Double anything. You've got any sort of anthem effect or...
I mean, you could target an enchantment or artifact an opponent controls, too.
Yeah. They've got something really good.
So if they've got, like, a Guardian Project or something.
Yeah.
You're just like, cool.
Cool, now I've got a Guardian Project.
Yeah.
So it's just a really good included deck. Some more, which is 100% the card I was waiting for. Dance of the Mance. There's a really stupid deck built around this card right now, and it's so good, and it's so fun. The Dance of the Mance is 1 blue and 1 white, and then X. The sorcery, you get to return up to X target artifacts and or non-or enchantment cards with each converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents become 4/4 creatures in addition to their other types. This is bonkers.
Yeah.
You're paying 8 mana.
It's a fantastic late game card.
You're paying 8 mana for 6 4/4s, and you're getting all these artifacts and enchantments back, so you're triggering, you're triggering,
Did she say when it enters play or when you cast it?
Might be when you cast it.
Double check.
When you cast. Okay, so never mind. So it's not triggering her. But still, you're
getting a bunch of cards back.
At the very, very least, you're getting 6 4/4s.
Yeah, if you pay the 6 into it.
Yeah, if you're paying the 6 into it, which usually if you're playing this card, you're gonna want to.
Or, I mean, you could just grab all your eggs and draw like 3 cards.
Or you can just grab all your eggs and draw cards again and do the thing. Like, there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
Really good. Starfield Mystic is a 2-drop, 1 generic, and 1 white for a 2/2 human cleric. Enchantment spells cost you 1 less to cast. And then whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on Starfield Mystic. Duh.
The cost reducer. I mean, normally cards like this aren't good enough in like standard, but since it's a singleton format, having a cost reducer just kind of speeds you up a turn.
Mm-hmm. Which is always cool in a singleton format.
And being able to double spell more often with Alayla is more important because you're making bodies out of it most of the time.
Yep.
Which brings us to our next card.
Divine Visitation. It's a 5-drop, 3 generic, and 2 white for an enchantment. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. Remember those 1/1s you were making? Now they're 4/4s.
No, now they're 5/4s.
Now they're 5/4s in vigilant.
Yay.
Oops.
Okay, so our next one is Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale. Or Knight's Charge.
Yes. Why do Knights?
Well, yes and no. So Sir Gwyn can go a couple different ways, but I think it's the most narrow of the 4. It's because Alayla, I mean, she's got a bunch of things, but it goes like 5 bajillion different ways, and then Tulane and the other like brawler are super flexible. Sir Gwyn here really likes equipment and knights. So you could go Voltron. Since Sir Gwyn is a knight, it makes all equipment that you can attach to it free. Knight Tribal, because we're in Mardu colors, it's a knight, you get value out of it. And then equipment matters if you just want to play a bunch of equipment to get value out of those, because whenever you attack with an equipped creature, you draw a card and lose a life. Sir Gwyn itself is a 6-drop, so 3 in Mardu colors, for a legendary human knight with vigilance and menace, which is really good. And whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life, and then equipment is free if you're equipping to a knight. And then it's like a 5/5. Huge creature.
Yeah.
My issue with it, like, I think this might be the weakest out of the 4. Just because...
To be fair, Voltron precons usually are.
Just because it's a 6-mana, like, brawler.
Yeah.
So, usually you're only allowed to play it once.
But it's 6 mana that's saving you so much mana later, because you get to equip all your knights for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's slower, and yes, it's gonna, you know, if she dies... you're gonna have to pay more. You're
paying 8 for it.
You're paying 8 for it, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, if she's on the board and she sticks,
yeah, I think
it's saving you a lot of mana and it gives you the power to do a lot of things.
I think Sir Gwyn is gonna, and unlike Tulane or Alayla, that want to be like one of your first cards that you play.
Yeah.
Sir Gwyn is probably one of your last cards that you play.
Yeah, it's like you get all your equipments on the battlefield first, your creatures on there, and then once that's there, you're like... Whoop!
And then you just slam all your equipment onto everything else and attack and draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
And then if Sir Gwyn dies, it dies. You drew a bunch of cards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, the right way to play it. I don't think you want to play it where you play anything else.
Yeah, this is definitely feels like more of like a later game card that you play. This is definitely a finisher. Because if you've got all your equipments and creatures on the field... I mean, you could potentially be swinging for lethal the turn that she comes down.
Yep, absolutely.
So.
Okay, so notable cards. Knight's Charge, which I'm surprised I haven't seen more of, is a 3-mana enchantment that says, for 1, a white and a black, that says whenever a knight you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. You can pay 6, a black and a white, sacrifice Knight's Charge, and return all Knight creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yeah.
This card's insane.
Yes.
I think it's standard good.
I think it's, potentially.
Our next one is Knight of the Ebon Legion, which is prolific.
It's probably the best black one drop.
It's in the deck. These are all in the deck.
Yeah.
I
know.
I mean,
it's probably the best
if
one drop in standard.
Yeah, if you've been playing standard at least for the last couple months, you've probably seen a couple Knight of the Ebon Legions. They just get out of hand quickly if you can get under your opponent. They eventually, like, just for 3 mana, it becomes a 4/5, and if you get a counter on it, it's like a 5/6 or like a 6/7 Death Touch. Kind of nutty. And then our next one is Wintermore Commander, which I think is a really interesting card. It's 2 mana, 2-star with Death Touch, and its toughness is equal to the number of knights you control. And whenever Wintermore Commander attacks, another target knight you control gains indestructible. So this is a really cool buddy attacker.
Yeah.
It gets really fat on the back end, and then you attack with a knight that you don't want to die, and you give that knight indestructible.
Basically, yeah.
But it's also a knight, so it's relevant for Gwyn.
Nuts that all of these are just like standard in the.
Yeah, they all come in the deck.
They're all just.
And I think Knight's Charge is like $20 right now.
Yeah, because Knight's Charge only comes in the Brawl deck, right?
That and the collector's packs.
Yes. We're not gonna count the collector's packs. The collector's packs are a whole nother monster of a mess. But yeah, so these almost exclusively come in the Brawl decks, or Knight's Charge does, which obviously ups the price because we're not going to talk about
exclusivity.
We're not going to talk about the huge printing error that was these Brawl decks that they printed to make really good and expected Brawl to happen, but also printed them for Commander players, and we're like, oh, we're going to severely underprint them and not reprint them again until December. But we're not going to talk about that because we're not better.
So yeah, I think, I don't know. I personally, when the decks were available for test for play on Arena, I played the Knight deck, and I really.
Yes, fun deck to play.
Next one, cards to check out. So we have 2 of the mythic artifacts from Throne, because I think they're both really good in this deck.
Yeah, they probably will be.
Our first one is Embercleave, which is a 6 mana equipment, 4 and 2 red with flash. And this spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, you attach it to an attacking target creature, and then equipped creature gets +1/+1, has double strike and trample, and it equips for 3. The reason Sir Gwyn wants to attack wide, I think, not really so much tall. But even if it's attacking tall, it's still double strike and trample on an equipment and instant speed. I don't know. I just think it's one of those cards that's gonna win you games. just because you drew it.
Yes.
Our next one is Fervent Champion, which is this other really good 1-drop that Knights have access to.
This thing is nuts.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an innocuous 1 mana 1/1 in red, but it's got first strike and haste, which matter. And whenever Fervent Champion attacks, another attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Then equip abilities, you activate that target Fervent Champion, costs 3 less to activate.
Yeah. This is good for a couple different reasons. It's really good if you don't have your commander because he's getting the leg up with the 3 less equipped cost. Which is good for him because he's a 1-drop first striker with haste.
Yeah.
Not only do we have the normal red bullshit of haste, we also have first strike to deal with now.
Yeah.
And then he's also pumping up another knight you control when he attacks.
And if you manage to keep all your equip costs like around 3, you can just play him, slap all the equipment you have in play on him, and then crack in with him.
Yeah. So he's a good alternate, like, I don't have my brawler on the board, so kill you. Or at least severely maim you.
And then the last one is Circle of Loyalty. It's 4 mana and 2 white for legendary artifact. It costs 1 less for each knight you control. You only need 4 knights to make it a 2-drop. Creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever you cast a legendary spell, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. And you can pay 4 and tap to create a 2/2 white knight creature token with. So this is just a sync when it's not making tokens on its own for free. But you're in Brawl, so you can just run a bunch of legendary knights.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's there's a legendary knight in each color.
Yeah. So you could run 3 of them in here.
Yeah.
And then you've got
Evercleave, Sir Gwyn. Yeah. It can
there's
get silly.
tons of legendary spells that you could stuff in here to play.
So.
Savage Hunter.
Yeah.
So this is Corvold. He's the Fey Cursed King.
Corvold's a big boy.
He's a big boy. In size wise, at least.
Yeah.
So he is a 5 mana, 4/4. So he is 2 generic, and then black, red, and green. He is a Dragon Noble. He has flying. When he enters the battlefield or attacks, you stack another permanent, and whenever you stack a permanent, you put a +1/+1 counter on him and draw a card. So this is definitely, you're looking at aristocrats.
Yeah.
Or food.
And I think the 4/4 is innocuous because every time he comes in, if you have a permanent to sack, he's going to be a 5/5 flyer for 5.
That's true. He's definitely a 5/5 flyer for 5, which is nasty. No matter how you look at it.
That will attack as a 6/6 flyer.
Yeah,
he grows very, very quickly.
He's a big boy. You play him with food, it's really funny because then you can
start pitching the food. Yeah.
You start pitching the food to make him bigger, so it's like a whole. And you're feeding him.
Getting big.
He's getting bigger. But yeah, definitely aristocrats. You want stuff that you're gonna be able to sacrifice for value. Get rid of for value. That's why like the food. Like if you've got like food generation or something, got just any sort of easily pitchable stuff. Even if you go back to like we talked about earlier with like the artifacts, little artifacts that come in and do stuff, you can just pitch them.
Yeah, Corvold also leans really nicely into like Priest of the Forgotten Gods, Judith, Mayhem Devil.
So aristocrats.
Yeah. Well, even just sacking a thing.
Yeah, just sacking a thing. Period. He's really good. So some notable cards. Dreadhorde Invasion. Yup, that's a thing.
They're all in the deck.
Just when we thought that we had not seen this card anymore, popped right back up again.
Hey there.
Hey there. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Dreadhorde Invasion is a 2-drop enchantment. It's 1 generic and 1 black. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life and amass 1. Whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. That second part probably not going to do so much for you because you're probably just going to be sacking. You're going to be feeding Corvold the zombies, more likely than not.
Yeah.
So this puts a clock on your head, but also you've got a giant beat stick, so you're also putting a clock on their head.
Your clock's a bit faster.
Yeah. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. She is a 2-drop, 1 generic, 1 black for a 1/2 human cleric. You can tap it and sacrifice 2 other creatures, and any number of target players each lose 2 life and sack a creature, and then you add 2 mana and draw a card.
So I just want to say that with Corvold,
2 black mana.
I just want to say with Corvold in play, this says sack 2 creatures, draw 3 cards, put 2 counters on Corvold. Each opponent discards a card, loses 2 life, and you get 2 black mana.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's notable that his ability says whenever you sack a permanent, not just when you sack a permanent to his own natural ability. So if you're doing this, you just make it a really big boy.
And you're getting 3 cards out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have Savvy Hunter. Savvy Hunter is a 3-drop, 1 generic, 1 green, and 1 black for a 3/3 human warrior. Whenever Savvy Hunter attacks or blocks, you create a food token, and then you can sack 2 foods to draw a card. So this is good in both scenarios.
Savvy Hunter kind of also feels like a Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Like half of it.
A little bit. It's really good because you're generating constant things to sack. And then also if you really need to draw a card, there you go.
You'll just draw 3 instead.
Yeah, and then you're sacrificing 2 foods, so then you're drawing a card, and Corvold's getting counters, and you're doing all sorts of nasty stuff with this.
Yeah.
So it's really good. Cool stuff to check out. You had to put Garuk on here.
I did.
You?
Yes.
You did. Oh, of course you did.
Why wouldn't I?
Because the 0 ability is really good with Corvold. So Garuk Cursed Huntsman is a 6-drop. He's 4 generic, 1 black, and 1 green for 5 loyalty planeswalker. He's got a 0 ability that allows you to create 2 black and green wolf creature tokens with when this creature dies. You put a loyalty counter on each Garuk you control. He has a -3 that destroys target creature and draws a card, or he's got a -6 that says you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +3/+3, and have trample. So he's doing a lot of things. You're putting him out for 6 mana. You're going up to 5. You zero him. You make the 2 creatures. Use your Priest of the Forgotten Gods and you sack them. Or you use Corvold's natural ability and you sack 1. You're putting counters on Garuk. Once those counters on Garuk, you -6 him, and then not only is your Corvold as big as it is, but now it has +3/+3 and trample as well.
Yeah.
Good luck dealing with that.
Yeah, Garuk and Corvold play really, really nicely together.
Just a lot.
A lot.
Just a lot.
I figured, and plus, like, Corvold on 5, Garuk on 6. So you just, play Corvold, you eat a thing, you play Garuk, make 2 wolves, attack with Corvold, eat a wolf, put a counter on Garuk, and then you have another wolf to block. And you just punch for like 6 in the air and drew 2 cards.
Yes.
And put a loyalty counter on Garuk, so now he's at 6.
Yes. Next up, you've got Cauldron Familiar. 1 black mana for a 1/1 cat. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. If you sack a food, you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is just Value City, and like you have to think about this card for a second, because this is an uncommon that most people are going to look over. But you're entering the battlefield, they're losing a life, you're gaining a life. You sack it to whatever ability that you've got, because you've got several sack outlets on the field at this point in time. You sack it to whatever, then you're sacrificing a food to bring it back. Now you're getting multiple sack triggers.
It's also really, really funny with a card called Witch's Oven.
Yes.
It's called the Kitty Cooker combo.
Oh my god. The Kitty Cooker. Okay.
So the Witch's Oven will eat the cat, make a food, you pitch the food to play the cat.
Yeah.
And you just keep looping it.
It's stupid. It's stupid. And then you got the Gilded Goose, which is 1 green for a 0/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you create a food token. You pay 1 generic and 1 green. You get to tap it and make a food token, or you can tap it to sack a food and add 1 mana of any color. This does multiple things that this deck would like to do.
Yeah, it makes stuff you can sack. It ramps you if it needs to. 2/1 flyer that you can pitch when it's no longer good.
The rare Llanowar Elf.
Yeah.
That's not as consistent as Llanowar Elf.
Or Bad Birds of Paradise.
Bad Birds of Paradise. Technically, it's a bad Llanowar Elf too. But,
yeah.
But it does a thing. It's really cool. It makes foods. It gives you a food generation outlet, and then it also gives you a sack outlet as well.
Mm-hmm.
Piper of the Swarm. Oh boy. This is giving me nightmares for multiple reasons, and we'll discuss that in a second. The Piper of the Swarm is 2 mana, is 1 generic and 1 black for a 1/3 human warlock. Rats you control have menace. If you pay 1 generic and 1 black, you get to tap it and make a 1/1 black rat creature token. You pay 2 generic and 2 black, you get to tap it, sacrifice 3 rats, and gain control of target creature.
And you can then sack to Corvold.
That you can then sack to Corvold. So this is doing multiple things, but this also gives me nightmares, because now I fear we're gonna get another like Relentless Rats or Rat Swarm or whatever in Standard, because
they have menace now.
Because now they're gonna have menace if you have them. I just have that nightmare that's gonna happen.
Well, no. Okay, so the reason I thought about Piper of the Swarm is really its first ability that lets you pay 2, tap it to create a rat. So you have a constant.
No, I understand.
You have a constant thing.
You put this in here.
You have a constant thing to sack to Corvold to keep making it bigger and draw cards.
Not only that, but if you've got other stuff that you're sacking to Corvold and stuff, and you don't need to sack it, you just do it until you can sack 3 all at the same time.
Draw 3 cards, put 3 counters, and steal a thing.
Ugh. I There's so much synergy in this deck.
Just
There's so much synergy potential in standard right now for this deck that this deck could be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
We also have the Cauldron of Eternity, which is the black legendary artifact.
I included all but the blue one. Yeah.
Yeah, all but the blue got included here. Which is 10 generic and 2 black, but it does cost 2 less for each creature in your graveyard. Which is probably pretty easy to do considering you're constantly sacrificing stuff. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. So this is just ensuring that, whatever you're doing, you're gonna.
You can't really spam it.
You can't really spam it.
But it also keeps you from decking yourself with Corvold because the stuff you sack ends up on the bottom of your library.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this stops the kitty thing you got going on, but it does keep you from decking yourself. It gives you constant cards to play. Because you could run through cards pretty quickly with Corvold. So, and then you can also pay 2 generic and 1 black to tap it, pay 2 life, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, and activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So it's recurred.
Yep, you get a thing back, and once you have no more creatures in your graveyard, you just pitch it to Corvold.
Yeah, basically. This is also really funny too, though, because like you said, it's just. Your creature is going to the graveyard. No, it goes to the bottom of your library. But wait, what about the 14 creatures I already have in my graveyard? Well, now they're coming back, and then I'm going to pitch them to Corvold, and they're going to go to the bottom of my library.
I'm going to draw 14 cards. Whee!
Yeah, do you see what's going on here? And then Feasting Troll King. This is an interesting creature. He is let me see if I'm doing my math right. Yep, he is a 6-drop. He is 2 generic.
There's a lot of green symbols there, yeah.
4 green for a 7/6. Troll Noble. That's a concept. I've heard, you hear of the Troll King all the time, the Feasting Troll King, but he's a Troll Noble.
He's a king.
Vigilance Trample. When the Feasting Troll King enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you create 3 food. And then you can sacrifice 3 foods to return Feasting Troll King from the graveyard to the battlefield, but you can only activate the ability during the turn. So its real merit comes from casting it from your hand, because you're paying all of that mana to get the 3 foods. So now you've got more sack outlets. Now you have more to do stuff with.
Also a big fat boy.
But it's also a 7/6 Vigilance Trampler, so if you're getting it with like the Cauldron of Eternity or any other way you may have to get it back, are you really complaining that you have a 7/6 with Vigilance and Trample?
Not
no,
really.
Didn't think so.
That's it.
I think
that's it. Yeah.
All right. That's all we got for you today, folks.
So as you may have been able to tell, I enjoy Aristocrats decks. Because they make me happy. I also enjoy Bant decks almost entirely.
I think these Brawl decks are pretty cool and well designed, and they've got a lot of cool design space within them, even in Standard right now.
Yeah, I think the Brawlers specifically have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Outside of Sir Gwyn, just because I think Sir Gwyn, if you want to do Tribal Knights, I think you would do something else.
Yeah, if you want to do Tribal Knights, I definitely don't think Sir Gwyn is the way to go.
I would actually just go straight 5 color.
If you're doing like tribal equipment,
Sir Gwyn's pretty good with that.
Sir Gwyn, you could definitely do that. If you're doing like tribal equipment, which I guess then is technically Tribal Knights because you're only doing really good things.
Even then, Gwyn, you just equip to Gwyn because Gwyn's a knight and Gwyn it's
or
free.
You do that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting design space. I think it goes really well like along with the set and just Standard in general right now to be able to do stuff and make the changes like we brought up the suggested changes. All of the suggested changes that were brought up, I mean, you don't have to agree with them 100%, but they're not bad ways to go by any means. They've got a lot of synergies, so.
I personally feel that Tulane and Corvold are probably powerful. On their face.
But Alala just makes me really happy, because it's like everything I wanted to do.
I just think she's a little ADHD.
So am I, but that's beside the point.
She's just all over the place, but she is really good.
But yeah, but it's, I mean, like, she's got a clear thing. She herself is just super powerful, though.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of fun stuff. You're doing all
and getting her down, like, on turn 3, if you're able to play like a ramp spell or something like that, is really, really good.
For sure.
But she's definitely, between her and Tulane, I think but out of the 4, she's the one that you want as your first creature.
Right.
Or first spell that you play each turn.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the value she gets you for being in play. And then Tulane is probably second to that, and then Corvold, and then...
Yes.
So they all play differently, and trying to gauge that is a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, but I think, like, we kind of discussed, each one kind of has a couple different routes you could take with it. And
absolutely.
So, I mean, they're not terribly built. They're actually really good. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why they have the price tag on them that they currently do, because we're not getting a reprint till December, but we're not talking about that. And,
Haley's super salty.
I just think it's ridiculous that, like, our local game store literally could only get in 2 copies of each deck. That's 1 box of these Brawl decks.
Yeah.
They ordered like 10. These are super allocated. They didn't think they were going to have near the success that they were, but they made all of these cards standard legal. Clearly some of these these cards are very good in standard play, but the only place you can get them is in the Brawl deck. So You wanted 1 copy? No, you wanted 4 copies? Good luck with that. That's never going to happen, at least not right now, because the print on these was so low. Yeah. And I understand. Brawl, up until this point, was a completely dead format. They tried introducing it. They didn't support it well. They didn't give us enough stuff to be able to do with it. Now we've got it on Arena. We have it to be able to play, like, with the Brawl decks. The Brawl decks, I think, were a really nice touch. I just wish they were more widely printed, because they appeal to not only standard players, but Brawl players and Commander players all at the same time. So they were severely undercut and underprinted for what they were.
Yeah. I personally, my hands on a Corvold deck.
Yeah. I just want to get my hands on all of them, really. Like, they're all pretty cool. Like, I wouldn't mind having these decks laying around the house. Plus, they gave us the new Command Tower art in there. The first new Command Tower art we've had, and the only place you can get them is the Brawl decks, and I can't get the Brawl decks.
Yeah, and Arcane Signet's in there, too.
And Arcane Signet's in there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a disaster on their part, but hopefully they learn from this mistake, and if they do Brawl decks again, which I do think that they should, noting from this. I don't think it's going to be, like, an every set thing, but I think, like, if they do these, like, once a year...
Well, okay, so...
Like, if
the Brawl decks didn't exist, and they included, like, Tulane and Corvold and Alayla and Sir Gawain in the set...
Yeah.
Instead, I would be happy with that.
Yeah, I think even that would be more effective. Just because, like, the only way we have to get these cards is from the Brawl decks, and the Brawl decks, like I said, were so, like, widely underprinted.
Yeah, and cards this powerful that are so underprinted, that are standard legal.
This is where the problems come from. So... Wizards of the Coast, if you're listening, this is my letter to you, my open letter. Please print more Brawl decks faster, or just do it to begin with, because you clearly created a good product here. I understand that Brawl was dead before
this is a pretty good product.
But, like,
yeah,
this was an amazing product, and if you had printed more of these, not that I'm saying that you're just a money grab, because you're not, but if you were looking to grab money, this would have been where to grab your money from.
Yeah, they would have sold really well.
Yeah. But you guys should all try Brawl and tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think we might try putting a Brawl game out sometime soon.
We'll work on it. We'll see what we can scramble together, because we're gonna probably have to do our own builds instead of being able to test them, because trying to get a hold of these decks is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we will do our best. We'll look into it. If there's any other formats that you guys want to learn about in the future or do something with, let us know, because we will do the research for you, so you don't have to. Anything else that we want to add before we try and close out and I try and run down James's ending speech, which I am not at all prepared for?
I think you can just read it off the card. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Okay. I'd keep checking for updates. We post everything on YouTube. And normally you can find our entire library of shows on.
And we are still working, for those of you who used to listen to the audio-only version of this podcast, we're working on finding another platform for it still.
Yeah.
It's just been really hard because a lot of them you have to pay for, and
we're
we are
poor.
not a monetized channel.
We're not.
We don't have that kind of money. We're working really hard to try and figure it out for you guys, though.
Yep.
So we'll work on that, I promise.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
All right. So thank you for listening. This has been Move to Combat. We stream every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Actually, I should say most Wednesdays because life happens. You can reach us at Twitter at @2_combat. You can find us on Twitch TV or twitch.tv/movetocombat. You can email us at movetocombatpodcast@gmail.com. If you like our intro music or our outro music, you can find it on SoundCloud under James Scheib.
She's not James Scheib.
I'm not James Scheib. Otherwise, I would do his cute little jingle that he has.
That's me.
I'm not James Scheib, but you can find him there. And we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Have a good one.